Vibhu. Okay, now we're starting. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vibhu. Okay, now we're starting. Oh, what is this? Om Namo Bhagavate. Umajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapata Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे शृण्वतं स्वा नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् शृण्वतं स्वाकथाः कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृद्यन्तस्तोय भद्राणि विदुनुति सुहृत्सतं नस्तप्रायस्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके Bhaktirbhavati Naistiki. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Text number 11339. Yudhishthira Uvacha. Oh, this is Lebhang Prabhu's favorite parts. Mahabharat.
Prabhu, and I think, which one is it, Prabhu? Like
What
number
is
one?
it now? Dhritarashtra quits home is the chapter. So I forgot what happened yesterday. Let's see. Few previous verses. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene. Maharaj Yudhishthira and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances. So now we are at the point where Narada is appearing.
Oh yes, Prabhu. Appearing like to speak to Dhritarashtra, to go for what do you call this? The renounced life.
Yes,
Is
Prabhu.
it somewhere? Okay, Prabhu.
Yudhishthira uvacha naham veda gatim pitror bhagavan kva katavita ambava hata putrarta kva gata cha tapashvini. Yudhishthira uvacha, Maharaj Yudhishthira said, "Na, do not. Aham myself Veda know it. Gatim departure. Pitro of the uncles. Bhagavan, O godly personality. Kva where. Gata O gone. Itaha from this place. Amba mother owned. Va either. Hata putra bereft of her sons. Arta aggrieved. Kva where. Gata gone. Cha also. Tapashvini ascetic. Translation. Maharaj Yudhishthira said, O godly personality, I do not know where my two uncles have gone, nor can I find my ascetic aunt, who is grief-stricken by the loss of all her sons. Purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Yudhishthira, as a good soul and devotee of the Lord, was always conscious of the great loss of his aunt and her sufferings as an ascetic. An ascetic is never disturbed by all kinds of sufferings, and that makes him strong and determined on the path of spiritual progress. Queen Gandhari is a typical example of an ascetic by her marvelous character in many trying situations. She was an ideal woman as a mother, wife, and ascetic, and in the history of the world, such character in woman is rarely found. Text number 40. Karnadara iva pare Bhagavan Paradarshaka Ata Baba se Bhagavan Narado Munisattama. Karnadara, captain of the ship, Iva like, Apare, in the extensive oceans, Bhagavan, representative of the Lord, Paradarashaka, Paradarshaka, one who can give directions to the other end, Atadas, Ababase, began to say, Bhagavan, the godly personality, Narada, the great sage Narada, Muni, Sattama, the greatest among the devotee philosophers. Translation. You are like a captain of a ship in a great ocean, and you can direct us to our destination. Thus addressed the godly personality Devarishi Narada, the greatest of the philosopher devotees, began to speak. Purport. There are different types of philosophers, and the greatest of all of them are those who have seen the personality of Godhead and have surrendered themselves in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Among all such pure devotees of the Lord, Devarishi Narada is the chief, and therefore he has been described herein as the greatest of all philosopher devotees. Unless one is a sufficiently learned philosopher by hearing the Vedanta philosophy from a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot be a learned philosopher devotee. One must be very faithful, learned, and renounced, otherwise one cannot be a pure devotee. A pure devotee of the Lord can give us direction toward the other end of Nishayan's. Devarishi Narada used to visit the palace of Maharaj Yudhishthira because the Pandavas were all pure devotees of the Lord, and the Devarishi was always ready to give them good counsel whenever needed. Narada Uvacha Ma Kanchana Sucho Rajan Yadishvara Vasam Jagat Loka Sapalayasye Me Vahanti Balimi Ishitu Sa Samyunakti Bhutani Sa Eva Viyunakti Cha. Narada Vacha, Narada said, Ma never, Kanchana, by all means, Suchaha, do you lament, Rajan, O king, yet, because Ishvaravasham, under the control of the Supreme Lord, Jagat world, Loka, all living beings, Sapalaha, including their leaders, Yasya, whose, Ime, all these, Vahanti, do bear, Balim, means of worship, Ishitu, for being protected, Sahahi, Samyunakti, gets together, Bhutani, all living beings, Sahahi, Eva, also, Vyunakti, disperses, Cha, and translation. Sri Narada said, O pious king, Do not lament for anyone, for everyone is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, all living beings and their leaders carry on worship to be well protected. It is He only who brings them together and disperses them. Purport. Every living being, either in this material world or in the spiritual world, is under the control of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Beginning from Brahmaji, the leader of this universe, down to the insignificant ant, all are abiding by the order of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the constitutional position of the living being is subordination under the control of the Lord. The foolish living being, especially man, artificially rebels against the love of the Supreme and thus becomes chastised as an asura or lawbreaker. A living being is placed in a particular position by the order of the Supreme Lord, and he is again shifted from that place by the order of the Supreme Lord or his authorized agents, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Maharaj, Yudhishthira, or in modern history, Napoleon, Akbar, Alexander, Gandhi, Subhas, or Nehru. All are servants of the Lord, and they are placed in and removed from their respective positions by the supreme will of the Lord. None of them is independent, even though such men or leaders rebel so as not to recognize the supremacy of the Lord. They are put under still more rigorous laws of material world by different miseries. Only the foolish man, therefore, says that there is no God. Maharaj Yudhishthira was being convinced of this naked truth because he was greatly overwhelmed by the sudden departure of his old uncles and aunt. Maharaj Dhritarashtra was placed in that position according to his past deeds. He had already suffered or enjoyed the benefits accrued to him in the past, but due to his good luck, somehow or other, he got a good younger brother, Vidura, and by his instruction he had left to achieve salvation by closing all accounts in the material world. Ordinarily, no one can change the course of one's due happiness and distress by plan. Everyone has to accept them as they come under the subtle arrangement of Kala, or invisible time. There is no use trying to counteract them. The best thing is therefore that one should endeavor to achieve salvation, and this prerogative is given only to man because of his developed condition of mental activities and intelligence. Only for man are there different Vedic instructions for attainment of salvation during the human form of existence. One who misuses this opportunity of advanced intelligence is verily condemned and put into different types of miseries, either in this present life or in the future. That is the way the Supreme controls everyone. This is really nice purport. यथा गावो नशी प्रोतास्तन्त्यां बद्धाश्च दामभिः वाक्तन्त्यं नामभिः बद्धा वहन्ति बलिमीशितु. Yatha, as much as Gava cow. Nasi by the nose, Protaha woman, Tantyam by the thread, Bada bound up by, Cha also, Dama be by ropes, Tantyam in the network of Vedic hymns, Nama be by nomenclatures, Bada conditioned, Vahanti carry on, Balim orders, Ishitu for being controlled by the Supreme Lord. Translation: as a cow bound through the nose by a long rope is conditioned, so also human beings are bound by different Vedic injunctions and are conditioned to obey the orders of the Supreme. Even better verse. 113:42. 113:42. 113.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanrod Pranam Gauri to Prabhupada.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Ram
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 Namaste.
Lord is
Krishna,
to
Prabhu.
Prabhupada. Thank you for joining Shubham Prabhu. Haribol. 113:42. Do we have it anywhere else? 113. Bull. Purport. Every living being, whether a man or animal or a bird, etc., thinks that he is free by himself, but actually no one is free from the severe laws of the Lord. The laws of the Lord are severe because they cannot be disobeyed in any circumstance. The man-made laws may be evaded by cunning old laws, but in the codes of the supreme lawmaker there is not the slightest possibility of neglecting the laws. A slight change in the course of God-made law can bring about a massive danger to be faced by the lawbreaker. Such laws of the Supreme are generally known as the codes of religion under different conditions, but the principle of religion everywhere is one and the same, namely, obey the orders of the Supreme God. The man-made laws may be evaded by cunning old laws, but in the cause of the supreme lawmaker, there is not the slightest possibility of neglecting the laws. A slight change in the course of God-made law can bring about a danger to them.
Prabhu, please share screen.
But Prabhu?
Share screen, Prabhu.
Oh, yes, Prabhu, sorry. The
Please
man-made
read once again, Prabhu.
But Prabhu?
Please read once again,
Yes,
because
Prabhu.
you are not sharing a screen, so it was not.
Yes, sorry, Prabhu. Carry it again. Every living being, whether man or an animal or bird, etc., thinks that he is free by himself, but actually no one is free from the severe laws of the Lord. The laws of the Lord are severe because they cannot be disobeyed in any circumstance. The man-made laws may be evaded by cunning outlaws, but in the codes of the supreme lawmaker, there is not the slightest possibility of neglecting the laws. A slight change in the course of God-made law can bring about a massive danger to be faced by the lawbreaker. Such laws of the Supreme are generally known as the codes of religion under different conditions. But the principle of religion everywhere is one and the same, namely, obey the orders of the Supreme God, codes of religion. That is the condition of material existence. All living beings in the material world have taken up the risk of conditioned life by their own selection and are thus entrapped by the laws of material nature. The only way to get out of the entanglement is to agree to obey the Supreme. But instead of becoming free from the clutches of Maya or illusion, foolish human beings become bound up by the different nomenclatures, being designated as Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, Hindus, Muslims, Indians, Europeans, Americans, Chinese, and many others, and thus they carry out the orders of the Supreme Lord under the influence of respective scriptural or legislative injunctions. The statutory laws of the state are imperfect imitation, replicas, or religious codes. The statutory, what is the statutory? Let's see again. Required, permitted, enacted by state. The statutory laws of the state are imperfect imitation replicas, or religious codes. The secular state or the godless state allows the citizens to break the laws of God, but restricts them from disobeying the laws of the state. The result is that people in general suffer more by breaking the laws of God than by obeying the imperfect laws made by man. Every man is imperfect by constitution, under conditions of material existence, and there is not the least possibility of enacting a perfect legislation by the most material advanced man. On the other hand, there is no such imperfection in the laws of God. If they are educated in the laws of God, there is no necessity of a makeshift legislative council of aimless man. There is necessity of change in the makeshift laws of man, but there is no change in the God-made laws, because they are made perfect by the all-perfect personality of Godhead. Codes of religion, scriptural injunctions, are made by liberated representatives of God in consideration of different conditions of living being, and by carrying on the orders of the Lord, gradually the conditioned living beings become free from the clutches of material existence. The factual position of the living being is, however, that he is the transcendent, he is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. In his liberated state, he renders service to the Lord in transcendental love, and thus enjoys a life of full freedom, even sometimes on the equal level with the Lord, or sometimes more than the Lord. But in the conditioned material world, every living being wants to be the Lord of other living beings, and thus by the illusion of Maya, such mentality of lording it becomes a cause of further extension of conditional life. So in the material world, the living being is still more conditioned, until he surrenders unto the Lord by reviving his original state of eternal servitorship. That is the last instruction. That is the last instruction of the Bhagavad Gita and all other recognized scriptures of the world. Text number 43. Yatha krido pashkaranam samyoga vigama viha ichhaya kriti tushyatam tata veshechaya nrinam. Yatha, as much as krida, paskaranam, playthings, samyoga, union, vigamavu, disunion, ha, as much, ichaya, by the will of kriditu, just to play a part, shatam, takes place, tata, so, also, eva, certainly, sa, the Supreme Lord, ichaya, by the will of Naranam, of the human being. As a player sets up and disperses his playthings according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings man together and separates them.
Prabhu, can you explain meaning of this verse in your words?
Yes, Prabhu, we will read the purport soon. 113.43. 113.43. We need to add this to the notes. Oh, where did it go? 113.43. See here, it goes here. 113.43. Okay, so we can see these a few other verses. Oh, what happened? Not here. Something went wrong. Oh, no, it's right. 113.43. So this is similar verse to this. It says, as a player sets up and disperses his playthings according to his own sweet will, so the supreme will of the Lord brings men together and separates them. So this means that the people, they get separated, they come together and they get separated just by the will of the Lord as his expansion of Kala, the eternal time. So Krishna is like the player setting us up. And here is the same things mentioned. 6:15:3. O king, as the small particles of sand sometimes come together and are sometimes separated due to the force of the waves, the living entities who have accepted material bodies sometimes come together and are sometimes separated by the force of time. See, force of time. And Krishna is the force of time, Kala. And here it is said as a player sets up and disperses the playthings, that means Kala sets up and disperses the playthings, and that means Krishna. Here is similar thing as a 4:28:60 purport. As water passes down a river, many straws and grasses are carried from the shore. These straws and grasses come together in the river's current. But when the waves toss this way and that way, they are separated and carried somewhere else. Similarly, the innumerable living entities within this material world are being carried by the waves of material nature. Sometimes the waves bring them together and they form friendships and relate to one another on a bodily basis of family, community, or nationality. Eventually, they are thrown out of association by the waves of material nature. This process has been going on since the creation of material nature. So this force that is doing this, separating and bringing together, it is Krishna described here as a player sets up and disperses the playthings. Yeah, the purport will be nice, I think. Hare Krishna, Praveen Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my
Hare
humble obeisances.
Krishna, Praveen
Chase
Prabhu,
Srila
I'm going to
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Thank you
Hare
for
Krishna
joining.
Prabhu. I have got the context of what you are saying. So you are trying to convey that Lord is the player and we are the playthings. Okay. So he will play with us,
Yes,
bringing us together and separating us as well. There are similar verses even in the 7th canto as well, in the Prahlada Charitra, in the Prahlada history. I'm trying to
yes, Prabhu,
bring
if
up
you find it.
those. Yes, I will. Yeah, I know because the situation is after the death of Hiranyaksha, his mother and wives were so lamented. So to pacify them, Hiranyakashipu uh, just
Yes,
told
Prabhu.
them a story. Okay, just I'll get back to you.
Yes, Prabhu, I remember
I'm
something like this also.
Yes, I will get back to you the verses
Yes, Prabhu. Here is
because
Yes,
the
Prabhu.
he talks in the perspective of the travelers. Okay, while we are
yes,
on a journey, most of us will meet at one place. Okay, gather and take some glasses of water as well.
yes,
But
Prabhu.
after we consume water, we will start our journey on our own. Okay, to different directions. Okay,
Yes, Prabhu.
similarly, we as jivas will come together in this material world, be here for some time, okay, do some activities and go away in our own directions according to our deeds or karma.
Yes, Prabhu. I remember hearing this. If you find it, share the so I can
One
add it.
second. Sure, I'll get back to you.
Yes, Prabhu.
Bhagavatam.
Okay, read the purport. We must know for certain that the particular position in which we are now set up is an arrangement of the Supreme Will in terms of our own acts in the past. The Supreme Lord is present as the localized Paramatma in the heart of every living being, as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita 13:22. And therefore, he knows everything of our activities in every stage of our lives. The reaction of our actions are rewarded by him by placing us in some particular place. A rich man gets his son born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but the child who came as the rich man's son deserves such a place, and therefore he is placed there by the will of the Lord. And at a particular moment when the child has to be removed from that place, he is also carried by the will of the Supreme, even if the child or the father does not wish to be separated from the happy relation. The same thing happens in the case of a poor man also. Neither rich man nor poor man has any control over such meetings or separations of living beings. The example of a player and his playthings should not be misunderstood. One may argue that the Lord is bound to award the reactionary results of our own actions, and thus the example of a player cannot be applied. But it is not so. We must always remember that the Lord is the supreme will, and he is not bound by any law. Generally, the law of karma is that one is awarded by the result of one's own action, but in special cases, by the will of the Lord, such resultant actions are changed also. But this change can be affected by the will of the Lord only, and no other. Therefore, the example of that player cited in this verse is quite appropriate. For the supreme will is absolute free to do whatever he likes, and because he is all perfect, there is no mistake in any of his actions or reactions. These changes of results and actions are especially rendered by the Lord when a pure devotee is involved. It is assured in the Bhagavad Gita 9:30 to 31 that the Lord saves a pure devotee who has surrendered unto him without reservation from all sorts of reactions of sins, and there is no doubt about this. There are hundreds of examples of this by the Lord in the history of the world. If the Lord is able to change the resultant reactions of one's past deeds, then certainly he is not himself bound by any action or reaction of his own deeds. He is perfect and transcendental to all laws. Haribol, really nice purport. My dear mother, in a restaurant or place for drinking cold water, many travelers are brought together, and after drinking water, they continue to their separate destinations. Similarly, living entities join together in a family, and later, as a result of their own actions, they are led apart to their destinations.
Yes, yes, that is the
Yeah.
same verse. Yes.
Yes, this is really direct. It's really nice.
Mm.
Really
And
important.
see, observe that these are the words from Hiranyakashipu, not Vyasadeva or Narada.
Yes,
That is the key point. Okay. In fact, when I read this verse initially, I thought that these were the words from Narada because there was a
yes,
lot of wisdom in these words.
yes, Prabhu. This happens very often, actually. This same thing. Also, King Kamsa spoke something like this. He spoke really intelligently at one point.
Mhm.
It's really nice. Okay, I'll
But
read the first.
having said all these things, okay, he still developed enmity against Vishnu or Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm.
Yeah, they have the philosophy usually right, but the object of the philosophy is wrong because they think that there is Bhagavan and he's the supreme, but then they think I'm the Bhagavan.
Hmm.
So that's the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, purport. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasahankara vimuddatma kartam iti manyate. The bewildered soul under the influence of three modes of material nature thinks himself the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. All living entities act exactly according to the directions of Prakriti, material nature, because in the material world we are fully under a higher control. All the living entities in this material world have come here only because they wanted to be equal to Krishna in enjoyment, and have thus been sent here to be conditioned by material nature in different degrees. In the material world, a so-called family is a combination of several persons in one home to fulfill the terms of their imprisonment. As criminal prisoners scatter as soon as their terms are over, they are released, all of us who have temporarily assembled as family members will continue to our respective destinations. Another example given is that family members are like straws carried together by the waves of river. Sometimes such straws mix together in whirlpools and later disperse again by the same waves. They float alone in the water. Yeah, here was one more analogy of the prison. This was really nice. I will add this one also. I think then I have all. Oh, who joined? Hare Krishna, Neil Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जरूर प्रणाम जय शिला प्रभुपाद
Thank you for joining, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Neil Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. All glory to Prabhupada.
Oh, I didn't read it, I think. Although Hiranyakashipu was a demon, he had Vedic knowledge and understanding. Thus, the advice given to his family members, his sister-in-law, mothers, and nephews was quite sound. Yeah, here it is said, although Hiranyakashipu was a demon, he had Vedic knowledge and understanding. So usually they are really knowledgeable. The demons are considered highly elevated in knowledge, but because they do not use their good intelligence for the service of the Lord, they are called demons. The demigods, however, act very intelligently to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Atah pumbir sreshta varnashrama vibhagasha svanustistasya dharmasya samsittir haritoshanam. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging his prescribed duties, dharma, according to the caste divisions and orders of life, is to please the Lord Hari. To become a demigod or to become godly, whatever one's occupation, one must satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, Haribol, who wants to read the next verse?
I will read, no problem.
Yes,
Right.
Prabhu.
Text 44. Okay, first 44. मन्यसे ध्रुवं लोकम् अध्रुवं वाचा चोभ्यं चोभयं सर्वथा न हि शोयास्ते स्नेहाद अन्यत्र मोहजात yet even though manyase you think dhruvam absolute truth lokam persons adhruvam non-reality va either na or not cha also ubhayam or both side or both wise sarvatha in all circumstances na never he certainly sochyaha subject for lamentation snehat due to affection anyatra or otherwise mohajat due to bewilderment. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. O King, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle or the material body to be perishable or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute truth or everything to be in an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feelings of separation are due only to illusionary affection and nothing more. Okay, we have to read this once again to understand in a more better way. Okay, let me read it. O King, in all circumstances, whether you consider the soul to be an eternal principle or the material body to be perishable or everything to exist in the impersonal absolute truth, all philosophies have been covered here. Okay, or everything to be an inexplicable combination of matter and spirit, feelings of separation are due only to feelings of separation are only due to illusionary affection and nothing more. Nice. Purport. The actual fact is that every living being is an individual part and parcel of the Supreme Being, and his constitutional position is subordinate cooperative service, either in his conditional material existence or in his liberated position of full knowledge and eternity. The living entity is eternally under the control of the Supreme Lord. But those who are not conversant with factual knowledge put forward many speculative propositions about the real position of the living entity. It is admitted, however, by all schools of philosophy that the living being is eternal and that the covering body of 5 material elements is perishable and temporary. The eternal living entity transmigrates from one material body to another by the law of karma, and material bodies are perishable by their fundamental structures. Therefore, there is nothing to be lamented in the case of the souls being transferred into another body or the material body perishing at a certain stage. There are others also who believe in the merging of the spirit soul in the Supreme Spirit when it is uncovered by the material engagement. And there are others also who don't believe in the existence of spirit or soul, but believe in tangible matter. In our daily experience, we find so many transformations of matter from one form to another, but we don't lament such changing features. In either of the above cases, the force of divine energy is uncheckable. No one has any hand in it, and thus there is no cause of grief. Text 45. Tasmaj jahyangya vaiklavyam ajnana kritam atmanah katham tvanataha kripana varteramste cha mam vina. Tasmat, therefore, jahi, give up, anga, O king, vaiklavyam, disparity of the mind, ajnana, ignorance, kritam, due to, atmanaha, of yourself, katham, how, to, but, anataha, helpless, anataha, helpless, kripanaha, poor creatures, varteran, be able to survive, they, cha, also, mam, may, vina, without. Translation. Therefore, give up your anxiety due to ignorance of the self. You are now thinking of how they, who are helpless, poor creatures, will exist without you. Purport. When we think of our, what is it? Nith and kin, kith and kin, being helpless and dependent on us, it is also due to ignorance. Every living creature is allowed all protection by the order of the Supreme Lord in terms of each one's acquired position in the world. The Lord is known as Bhotabhrit, one who gives protection to all living beings. One should discharge his duties only. Only the Supreme Lord can give protection to anyone else. This is explained more clearly in the following verse. Text 46. Kala karma gunadhino dehoyam pancha bhautikaha katham anyasmatu gopayat sarpagrasto yathaparam. Kalaha, eternal time. Karma, action. Guna, modes of nature. Adhinaha, under the control of. Dehaha, material body and mind. Ayam, this. Pancha, 5. Bhautikaha, made of the 5 elements. Katham, how. Anyan, others. To, but. Gopayat, give protection. Sarpa, Grastaha, one who is bitten by the snake, yatha, as much as param, others. Translation. This gross material body made of 5 elements is already under the control of eternal time, kala, action, karma, and the modes of material nature, guna. How then can it, being already in the jaws of the serpent, protect others? Purport. The freedom movements of the world and political, economic, social, and cultural propaganda can do no benefit to anyone due to their being controlled by superior power. A conditioned living being is under the full control of material nature, respected by eternal time, and activities under the dictation of different modes of nature. There are 3 material modes of nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. Unless one is situated in the mode of goodness, one cannot see things as they are. The passionate and the ignorant cannot even see things as they are. Therefore, a person who is passionate and ignorant cannot direct his activities on the right path. Only the man in the quality of goodness can help to a certain extent. Most persons are passionate and ignorant, and therefore their plans and projects can hardly do any good to others. Above the modes of nature, there is eternal time, which is called Kala, because it changes the shape of everything in the material world. Sorry, because it changes the shape of everything in the material world. Even if we are able to do something temporarily beneficial, time will see that the good project is frustrated in course of time. The only thing which is possible to be done is to get rid of the eternal time Kala, which is compared to Kala Sarpa or the cobra snake, whose bite is always lethal. No one can be saved from the bite of a cobra. The best remedy for getting out of the clutches of the cobra like Kala or its integrity, the modes of nature, is Bhakti Yoga, as it is recommended in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. The highest perfectional project of philanthropic activities is to engage everyone in the act of preaching Bhakti Yoga all over the world, because that alone can save the people from the control of Maya or the material nature represented by Kala, Karma, and Guna, as described above. The Bhagavad Gita 14:26 confirms this definitely. Text 47. Ahastani sa hastanam apadaनि chatuspadam falguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. Hastani, those who are devoid of hands. Sahastanam, of those who are endowed with hands. Those who are devoid of hands, of those who are endowed with hands. Okay. Apadani, those who are endowed with legs. Padam, of those who have 4 legs. Phalguni, those who are weak. Tatra, there. Mahatam, of the powerful. Jivaha, the living being. Jivasya, of the living being. Jivanam, subsistence. Or translation. Those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the 4-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another. Jivo jivasya jivanam.
Just yesterday, I was thinking of this verse. I was preaching and I needed this verse, but it didn't come to my mind, and then I didn't. I just explained it in my words. But now today we read the verse, so it's really interesting.
Yeah, but we should not use this verse to support ourselves that we can eat meat. Okay? We as human beings are allowed to eat plants, okay, which is another form of living being, as living entity as well. Okay,
Yes, but
so
this
that
was from
means
a person, because
Hmm.
a person asked that if the person was saying that we cannot eat plants. He said, "Oh, I don't want to eat plants either because you have to kill." So I said, oh, we have to eat, and then I wanted to show this verse that it goes
Right.
like this. And then but I explained to the person about the persons who first offer their eatables as sacrifice, they are free of all sins. I forgot what the number is. Do you remember?
I don't remember the verse number, but I know that, yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. So I
We
showed
have to offer it. We have to offer it to the Lord so that the sins associated to that living, to the killing of that living being will go away.
Yes, Prabhu.
And moreover, plants are not as conscious as the other living entities, like animals. Okay.
Yeah, that's saying.
Their consciousness is subtle. Okay, subtler than the animals. So, to some extent, there is no sin associated with that killing as well.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, Prahlad Prabhu also explained like this.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Fine.
Whatever you take for your sustenance, what is needed, there is no like bad karma from that. If you like are hungry and you have tomatoes, you can eat the tomatoes without getting bad karma.
Right. Okay, let's
But,
continue.
but Prabhu, don't offer they commit sins.
Yes, Prabhu, but Prahlad Prabhu even said that there is no sin. If you are hungry and you eat and what you take whatever you need, he said there is no sin in that. He said like that in the Istagoshti that we had. Because otherwise you would die, and dying because of hunger, that would also be sin, because you're killing the body that is awarded to you by the nature. So you have to upkeep it, but you have to do it minimal, without doing any damage to your like minimal killing or minimal destroying. And if you take fruits, you're not killing actually. So
Yeah, in other words, the worst case is if you are not in a position to offer it to the Lord, okay, due to your uh, uh, the present circumstances, you can eat, okay. But
yes,
that doesn't, that we cannot use this sentence uh, for your daily offerings, okay. When you have
yes,
time and situation, you have to offer it to the Lord.
yes, Prabhu. Yeah, this is definitely everything has to be offered. This is for
Mhm.
devote, but if there is non-devotee and he has never heard about what is Lord or what is offering, and he's in the forest and he eats something, then there is not like it's not
Right.
like he's getting some horrible, because he has to do that. But of course, there
Yes.
is a cycle of karma. Without coming in contact with Krishna in some way, he will never get out of that cycle. So of course, it will continue.
Exactly. Okay. Um, where were we? Yeah, purport. A systematic law of subsistence in the struggle for existence is there by the supreme will, and there is no escape for anyone by any amount of planning. The living beings who have come to the material world against the will of the supreme being are under the control of a supreme power called Maya Shakti, the deputed agent of the Lord. And this Daivi Maya is meant to pinch the conditioned souls by threefold miseries, one of which is explained here in this verse. The weak is the substance for the strong. No one is strong enough to protect himself from the onslaught of a stronger. And by the will of the Lord, there are systematic categories of the weak, the stronger, and the strongest. There is nothing to be lamented if a tiger eats a weaker animal, including a man, because that is the law of the Supreme Lord. But although the law states that a human being must subsist on another living being, there is the law of good sense also. For the human being is meant to be obey the laws of the scriptures also. This is impossible for other animals. The human being is meant for self-realization, and for that purpose, he is not to eat anything which is not first offered to the Lord. The Lord accepts from his devotee all kinds of food preparations made of vegetable, namely fruits and leaves and grains. Fruits, leaves, and milk is different varieties can be milk in different varieties can be offered to the Lord, and after the Lord accepts the food stuff, and the devotee can partake of the prasadam, by which all sufferings in the struggle for existence will be gradually mitigated. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:22. Even those who are not even those who are accustomed to eating animals can offer foodstuff not to the Lord directly, but to an agent of the Lord under certain conditions of religious rites. Injunctions of the scriptures are not meant to encourage the eaters of animals, but to restrict them by regulated principles. The living being is the source of subsistence for the other stronger living beings. No one should be very anxious for his subsistence in any circumstances, because there are living beings everywhere and no living being starves for want of food at any place. Maharaja Yudhishthira is advised by Narada not to worry about the uncles suffering for want of food, for they could live on vegetables available in the jungles as prasadam of the Supreme Lord and thus realize the path of salvation. Exploitation of the weaker living being by the stronger is the natural law of existence. There is always an attempt to devour the weak in different kingdoms of the living being. There is no possibility of checking this tendency by any artificial means under material conditions, but it can only be checked by awakening the spiritual sense of the human being by practice of spiritual regulations. The spiritual regulatory principles, however, do not allow a man to slaughter weaker animals on one side and teach other peaceful coexistence and teach others peaceful coexistence. If man does not allow the animals peaceful coexistence, how can he expect peaceful existence in human society? The blind leaders must therefore understand the Supreme Being and then try to implement the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, or Ramarajya, is impossible without the awakening of God consciousness in the mass mind of the people of the world.
Okay, one more verse.
Text 48. Tatidam Bhagavan Rajnan Eka Atmatmanam Swadruk Anantaro Bhati Pashyatam Mayayo Rudha Tat. Therefore, Idam, this manifestation, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Rajan, O King, Ekaha, one without a second, Atma, the super soul, Atmanam, by his energies, Swadrik, qualitative like him, Antaraha, without, Anantaraha, within, and by himself, Bhati, so manifests, Pashya, look, Tam, unto him only, Mayaya, by manifestations of different energies, Urudha, appears to be many. Translation. Therefore, O King, you should look to the Supreme Lord only, who is one without a second and who manifests himself by different energies and is both within and without. Purport. The Supreme Lord personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is one without a second, but he manifests himself by different energies because he is by nature blissful. The living beings are also manifestations of his marginal energy, qualitatively one with the Lord, and there are innumerable living beings both within and without the external and internal energies of the Lord. Since the spiritual world is a manifestation of the Lord's internal energy, the living beings within the internal potency are qualitatively one with the Lord without contamination from the external potency. Although qualitatively one with the Lord, the living being, due to contamination of the material world, is pervertedly manifested, and therefore he experiences so-called happiness and distress in the material world. Such experiences are all ephemeral and do not affect the spirit soul. Ephemeral means temporary, lasting for a very short time. Okay. The perception of such ephemeral happiness and distress is due only to the forgetful of his qualities, which are equal to the Lord's. There is, however, a regular current by which to rectify the fallen condition of the living being by the Lord himself from within and without. From within, he corrects the desiring living being as localized Paramatma, and from without, he corrects by his manifestations the spiritual master and the revealed scriptures. One should look unto the Lord. One should not be disturbed by the so-called manifestations of happiness or distress, but he should try to cooperate with the Lord in his outward activities for correcting the fallen souls. By his order only, one should become a spiritual master and cooperate with the Lord. One should not become a spiritual master for one's personal benefit or for some material gain or as an avenue of business or occupation for earning livelihood. Bona fide spiritual masters who look on to the Supreme Lord to cooperate with him are actually qualitatively one with the Lord, and the forgetful ones are perverted reflections only. Yudhishthira Maharaj is advised, therefore, by Narada not to be disturbed with the affairs of so-called happiness and distress, but to look only unto the Lord to execute the mission for which the Lord has descended. That was his prime duty. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, now let's go to six Astakam prayers.
Okay. Prabhu, this is verse number 48. Okay, so we have read till verse 48. Okay, okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
So we have, sir, and Prabhu, what is the chapter number of that 1.3?
13.
I think chapter 30. Okay, okay. Yeah, okay.
चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमः दावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं भूतिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मास्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्.
नाम नाम गाय बहुधानि सर्वशक्ति तत्रार्पिता नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशीतो कृपा भगवान् ममापि दुर्तयो मे दृश्मिहायन्नानुरागः
त्रिनादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना मानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरि.
नटनं न जनम न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीशकामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवता भक्ति अहेतुकी त्वयि
ऐनन्दतनुजङ्गरं पत्तं मां विस्मयभामुधौ कृपया लोपादपङ्कज स्थिते धूलसदृशं विचिन्तय
नयनं
नयनं
वदनं गद्गदारुतया गिरा पुलकर्निशितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति.
युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रविशायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे
आश्लिष्य वा पातरतं पिनष्टु मामदर्शनं मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विरता तुलम्पतो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः. Lord, to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all that has accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the divine benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction. to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rule for chanting the name of my Lord. Out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
I will read. Okay. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want a causeless devotion service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal savior. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death, and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
Oh Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy names? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hair of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my
I
Lord.
know no
And
one but
Hmm. Continue, bro. Continue.
continue, bro.
Okay. I know no one but Krishna as my
I
Lord,
know no
and
one
he
but
shall.
sorry, bro. You can continue, please.
No problem. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Haribol, Sri Siksastakam ki jai, Chaitanya
Jai,
Mahaprabhu.
Jai.
Bahujanma Khare Adi Shravana Kirtan Tabutana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many birds, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting.
The offenses against the chanting of the holy name are as follows: to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense to consider the name of demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu.
Third offense, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master.
Fourth offense to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic origin.
Fifth offense, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Sixth offense to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eighth offense, to consider the chanting of
Eighth
Hare
offense to
Krishna of
consider
Continue, Prabhu. Continue, please.
To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas through Karma Kanda.
Ninth offense, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success Krishna Prema.
Let us offer humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desired trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls.
Vanchakalpatrubhyascha kripasundevaccha paditanam pavaname Vaishnavayo namo namaha.
Vaishnave
Hari
Namaha.
Bol.
Pattanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you so much for your association, Prabhu.